Modern friendship is just mutual, goes in with extra steps, deep, emotional, and lasting. But when was the last time you had a conversation that wasn't just surface level pleasantries? Because here's the truth, most friendships today feel like glitchy NPCs in a video game. You bump into them, they repeat the same three lines, and then you both just stand there awkwardly, waiting for the next interaction cue. Are you familiar with the birthday test? Well, Ben was. Ben is just another random young man from Chicago who thinks he has friends. They laugh at his jokes, they tag him in memes, and they even make weekend plans. One day, Ben hears about an experiment. Don't tell anyone it's your birthday, see who remembers. So he decides to try it. He doesn't boast about it, doesn't drop hints, just waits. Morning passes, no texts. Afternoon, nothing. By evening, he sees them all hanging out together. They didn't forget how to make plans, they just forgot him. But it gets worse. A few days later, out of curiosity or self-destruction, he texts one of them, "Hey, how's it going?" The friend replies, "Yo, sorry man, been busy, what's up?" Nothing much, just chillin'. He waits, hoping they'll notice, hoping they'll say something. Nothing. So he gives in, he drops the hint. "Yeah, I turned 26 the other day, crazy how time flies." And, like clockwork, "Bro, happy belated, sorry dude, let's hang soon." That's when he realized they didn't care, they just reacted. The same way they'd react to a notification, a message, a meme. Friendship wasn't connection, it was just another reflex in a world of endless distractions. So he tries one last thing, he deletes all his social media. Weeks pass, no one notices. Months, silence, and just like that, Ben disappears. The moral of the story? Maybe there is none. Maybe they're not terrible people for forgetting his birthday. You know, just a testament of an era. Maybe friendship these days isn't about connection, it's about notifications. You stop popping up on their screen and suddenly, you don't exist. It's merely a weird social contract where we all agree to pretend we actually like each other's Instagram stories, and where reaching out has become like summoning a demon. If you do it too much, you look desperate, too little, and you vanish into the void. The golden rule of modern friendship is reciprocal neglect. If I ignore you and you ignore me, we're totally cool. As opposed to back in the day, friendship meant something, like if you needed help burying a body, your best friend would grab a shovel, no questions asked. Now, people can't even reply to a text within 24 hours. Friendship used to be forged through struggle, wars, famine, surviving the horrors of dial-up internet. But in the modern world, we've eliminated so much of life's shared struggles that friendship has become optional, a luxury, something people engage in when it's convenient, not because they need to. You don't need your friend to help you move, you can just hire movers. You don't need deep emotional connection, you can just trauma dump on the internet. Friendship is no longer a necessity for survival, which means a lot of people treat it as disposable. Let's be real, you've probably got 500 friends on social media, but how many of them would actually show up if your life fell apart? There's a psychological concept called Dunbar's number, which suggests humans can only maintain about 150 meaningful relationships at a time. And that includes acquaintances, co-workers, family, and even the barista you pretend is your friend because they remember your coffee order. So when you subtract all the background characters, you might be left with, what, 3 people? 2? None? We're drowning in weak ties, connections that are pleasant but ultimately meaningless. A heart emoji on your post isn't the same as someone actually being there when you need them. We mistake interaction for intimacy and presence for connection. And before we start blaming society, maybe we're also guilty of this. Maybe just like everyone else, we treat friendships as background noise, something to fill the silence, not something to truly invest in. Friendship today isn't even failing, it's just evolving into something unrecognizably hollow. Albert Camus talked about the absurd, and nowhere is that clearer than in modern friendships. We are absurd creatures trying to force deep, meaningful connections through 280-character tweets and 10-second TikToks. We want loyalty and emotional support, but only if it doesn't interfere with our binge-watching schedule. We crave connection, yet we ghost people like it's an Olympic sport. Enter Emil Cioran, the Romanian philosopher who basically said optimism is cowardice and whose entire vibe was life is suffering but make it poetic. If Cioran had a take on modern friendship, he'd probably say we do not experience friendship, we suffer its absence. Because that's exactly what it is, a slow realization that most of your friendships were never real. Just conveniently timed interactions that dissolve the moment you stop showing up. The solution? Lower your expectations like a lot. Schopenhauer, Mr. Life is just prolonged suffering, would say that disappointment is inevitable. So the best strategy? Expect nothing. Treat friendships like weather apps, occasionally useful, mostly inaccurate. Never something to rely on. If you go into every relationship assuming no one actually cares, you'll either be proven right, congrats you win at pessimism, or pleasantly surprised, rare but possible. Too dark? Okay, fine, try this one. Go for depth, not just frequency. Humanistic psychologist Carl Rogers believed that deep, meaningful conversations are the backbone of real connection. Instead of engaging in endless small talk, take a risk and talk about something real, instead of a meme. People crave depth, they just need permission to go there. If you're sick of surface-level friendships, the best test is being vulnerable. Mention something personal, not trauma dumping, but real emotions. If they engage, that's a sign of real connection. If they respond with LMAO, bro wild, then congrats, you just identified a hollow friendship. Psychologist John Gottman's research shows that successful relationships, romantic or platonic, rely on small, consistent gestures. A quick text, checking in, remembering details from past conversations, these small things reinforce the bond. Affinities don't die in one big dramatic moment, they erode through neglect. Friendship isn't something that magically sustains itself, it requires effort, intentionality, vulnerability, and even that might not be enough. Nothing is built to last. If someone shows up consistently, great. If not, let them fade into the algorithmic abyss where they belong. What is friendship, if not a mirror of the age? Once it was a pact sealed in fire, tested by hardship, bound by blood and necessity. But now it is a specter, flickering, weightless, dissolving with the faintest breeze of forgetfulness. No longer forged in the crucible of suffering, it withers in the absence of need, in the abundance of comfort, in the slow death of urgency. We no longer seek the brother in arms, the keeper of secrets, the one who would stand unshaken when all else collapses. We seek instead the pale shadow of companionship, pleasant, fleeting, requiring nothing, demanding nothing. And yet, is this not the way of all things? What is friendship but another monument to impermanence? It rises, it flourishes, it withers. Like all things, it must be tested. That which is real endures. That which was hollow must crumble, and in the end, one stands alone as one has always stood.